All right, well, here we go. So welcome, folks. I'm glad y'all are here or have tuned in. Today, I have the pleasure and really good fortune of introducing y'all to an amazing artist, Mr. George T. Ruffin. Now, before I give you George's bio, I got to tell you all how I met George. So, moved in to this apartment where my wife and I are living currently, and I would see George like in the neighborhood, just see him around, friendly. He says hello, I says hello, and that was the extent of our interaction for probably about a year. And then about 3 weeks, was it 3 weeks ago, George? Ooh, you're muted. Oh, George, you're muted. There you go.
Yes, it was about 3 weeks ago.
It was about 3 weeks ago, right? About 3 weeks ago, I'm outside, I'm walking my dog, and I look over and I see George sitting in his car drawing. And I look at this drawing and I'm like, oh my God, that is beautiful. I just stood and just watched him draw for a while. And then in that moment, it occurred to me, like, I got to have George on the show. So here we are. So I'm so excited that you're here, George. Let me give you a bit of an introduction here. So George's art adventures started with his first piece that was Martin Luther King. First person you drew was Martin Luther King. And that went into the newspaper. And you won, right, George? You won some kind of contest, like right off the rip, right? Ooh,
you muted again.
You're muted, George, again.
I apologize.
There you go. No worries.
To be accepted to be put in the newspaper is an accomplishment in itself at such a young age.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. And so this is in New York, right, George? You were living in Brooklyn at that time, yeah?
Brooklyn, New York, yes. And I was going to PS 152 in the Midwood section.
There you go, PS 152, awesome. And then eventually, you made your way to New Haven, 2017. So there's obviously, lots of stuff that happened in between there.
Definitely.
But here you are. You're doing some amazing work, both artistically, as well as some of the work that you do that is away from art. So I know that you also work with autistic folks, right?
Yes, I was working with the autistic population. As of recent, I've had a job change, but I will always work with the autistic population and populations who have disabilities and things against them. We're all one. So what I can give is what God gave me, and that's art, and it's open doors. And as it opened doors, I pay attention to those who are behind those doors.
Yeah. Oh, that's really beautiful, George. I love that. So tell me, so when did you? It sounds like you started drawing like when you were just like a baby. So how did you discover it? What did you just always like to doodle, or how did you get into the kind of art that you do?
Well, my parents, my art young, and that Martin Luther King piece that I highlighted was a challenge from the teacher, and I had classmates, one of which, James Bison, who is my friend to this very day. I remember him in the same grade drawing the Ninja Turtles and the Technodrome on the paper that we would put on our books to as covers, and it was amazing.
Oh, right.
I've been on that path.
I love that. I love that. It's an inspiration just can come from anywhere, and it's like you never know. And so that's amazing. All right. So what I'd like to do, George, it looks like you may be frozen. There you are. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do, George, is I'm going to pull up a little bit of your work, so we can show some of your work.
Okay.
So give me 1 second here, and I'm going to do that. I had it ready just a minute ago. Here we are. All right. Okay, folks, so feast your eyes on this. This is George's Instagram page. I was taking a look, George, and you've got 500 posts here, and almost all of them, I say like 95% of these posts that you have are examples of your work, and it is beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful.
Thank you,
George.
very much.
There are so many faces in here that I can clearly recognize. I know exactly what it is. And I'm just so taken aback. And you've got the Breakfast Club here. You've got this looks like Ben Franklin here. You've got let's see, some other like really amazing ones. Oh, look at Nip. Look at Nipsey Hussle. This is amazing, George. So so tell me, George, how do you pick your subjects, who you want to draw, and how do you do it? Do you do it just you look at a picture and you copy it, or is this coming from your head? How do you do this?
Well, I have I'm interested in life. I pay attention to, like, I'm a poet. I write a lot of urban poetry, so I copy the style of Wu-Tang. That every time I listen to the song Triumph, from the creation up.
Ooh. George, you're muted again.
I apologize for that.
No worries.
Can you hear me now?
So, yep, we can hear you. Yeah, you were talking about, you were referring to your connection with Wu-Tang, and particularly the song Triumph. So what's your connection there with the song?
Well, I like their style is really scientific, and I love the word usage. And every time I listen to the song Triumph, I hear something that I've heard before, but I get it in a new way, and that's probably due to experience. You know, as my experiences change, I can associate what I'm currently going through to something to a lesson that I've heard before in a different way. And that's what I try to portray in my art.
Okay, so say more about that. Tell me about that, because I understand exactly what you're saying. Like it's like watching a movie, you know, like for 4 times, and then like on the third time you see something you've never seen before. So I've had that experience too. But what do you mean when you're like applying that to the art?
Well, I want you to be able to look at some, you know, I really don't like to explain what motivated me to do my pieces. I mean, here, of course, but to just to my audience, I don't really explain what motivated me, because they may see my piece and see something totally different, and what they see is satisfying within them, you know? So before I explain, I would like my art to do what it does. It's the foundation is God, his gift to me. So it can only produce positivity.
Yeah.
So I let it do what it does.
Oh, I love that. I love that approach. Let it do what it does. I love that a lot, because I think you're right. I think the art actually happens inside the person. So that you have, like, you know, the artist, right? So like, you know, George, you draw something, but then once you're done drawing it, it's like, it's almost like it doesn't belong to you anymore. Now it's like it goes out into the world, and other people engage with your art in a different kind of way. So I love that, the way that you describe that.
And one thing, it's a gift for the world, definitely. It's not mine to begin with. Like, sometimes what I experience personally with my art, when I focus on a piece, like recently, one of my newest strategies is I start with the darkest area, you know, and I make that area as dark as possible. And then the different textures of hues come together. I look at a piece and I see shapes. I see shapes in everything. So if I draw the shapes first and put the shapes together and add detail to each shape individually, when it comes together as one, it's like I'm not even working on a piece as one. I'm working on shapes. Right. And I also look at that as I use that that mindset for everything too. Like, even with the community, we can't look at it as just one big picture. It's shapes, and we have to customize these shapes to have the beautiful picture and put them together. So, and I'm only one person, so I can only control this one step. And my one step is with art, and people have responded positively to that. So I will continue to walk.
I love that, George. That's amazing, George. That's brilliant. Like, really, I really like, because again, like, I totally agree with you. I think it's if you sit back and say, like, you gotta like climb a mountain, right? It's hard to imagine getting to the top of this huge mountain, but I can imagine taking one step. I can easily get myself to know that, like, I can take one more step. But if I focus on trying to get to the top of the mountain, I might lose my motivation or my courage, because it feels so big. And I hear you applying that same idea to your work.
And speaking of motivation, my son is my greatest motivation.
Oh, that's amazing.
With my son, I must mention my niece and my nephew, because they are my motivation. My family is motivation. I love them. Yeah,
that's awesome. That's awesome, George. Hey, are there any pictures of your son or your niece and nephews on your page?
On Instagram, you will see a picture that I sketched of myself with my son. And there are many pictures that I've painted of my son. He does not live with me, but the pictures are in his room and in their home, and I'm always in the Bronx, in between here and there. I move on
yeah,
love.
that's beautiful. I think I see a picture of you with some young people. I don't know, is this your son?
No, the picture, yes, that's my son and my niece and my nephew.
Okay.
Yes. Oh, and nephew dog. That's their dog. So he's the nephew as well.
He's the nephew dog, right? I got a couple nephew
Yes.
dogs too. So it looks like, Georgia, you use like different mediums, right? Looks like you're using what is it you're using there? Is it colored pencils?
I
And
use colored pencils. I use chalk. I use paint. I buy my my multimedia pads from Halls, and
okay.
they recently got in an 18x24 multimedia pad, and it is amazing. I'm on my 5th one, and I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great, George. So you have so much work here, George. How often would you say you are you draw every day?
I draw every day. It's my foundation for everything. So it comes light to me. Like just yesterday, one of my friends said, "You're really going hard." And it's not going hard, because as I take a step, it's art. We're God's art.
Yeah. So it just feels natural to you. It feels like, yeah, this is just what I do.
Yeah.
It's almost like kind of like a meditation in a way.
Yes, it's my medicine, definitely. Definitely my medicine. I have PTSD, and to deal with that, I wrote a book of a character, Foreign Don, and the characters around Foreign Don are of my character. And I just give them names, and I allow them to work together in the story, and it's rather humorous, but it's also soothing, and it's medicine. Art is medicine.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I'm in surroundings that may not be that comfortable, I pull out my sketchbook, and I start in my art, and I become the subject, and I realize that I have power with my art. People are drawn to me, so I have to put out the right message every time.
I love that, George. I really, really do appreciate that. So let me ask you a question. How do you feel as an artist? What do you believe your kind of like, let's say, like responsibility to others is in terms of your art? Do you think you have a responsibility?
I think I have a responsibility. As a matter of fact, I know I have a responsibility. We all have a responsibility. The laws of nature. I give my art freely because I was giving my art freely in areas like I would go to the park and set up. It's not that I'm giving you a piece, but I'm giving you an experience. You're around it. It's soothing. It soothes me. Hopefully it can soothe you. And my responsibility to these people who allowed me to sit over here amongst you. This is your area. You allowed me to sit over here. And that's a gift to me. My gift back to you is the art. Now, you owe. I owe. We all owe. And that never ends. Who's gonna break that? Who's gonna break that bond between us? Are you prepared to break a bond when you started with good intent? You can't break that. So if you need to eat and I see you're hungry, or if I need to eat and you see I'm hungry, reach out. This is barter. Money is nothing.
Yeah. Wow, George. I gotta say, I'm feeling like really inspired by you right now. I'm so glad. I'm so glad we're talking. Yeah, and this work is just so incredible. Yes, these pieces are all just, and I love that, like, we can see in some cases the progression of the piece as it moves along.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, it's just really beautiful. So tell me, George, like, how are you, because it sounds like you're not necessarily doing art for the purpose, and like, I think this is true of most artists, that you do this because you really do, like, it's more than just like love doing it, but like, that I'm hearing that it's therapeutic, that it's medicine for you. And I would say also like medicine for the people around you, because like, as you become healthier and more grounded and connected, you can have that kind of impact on your community, your friends, your family, your neighbors. Um, but I wonder, like, how is it in terms of, because there's a lot of work here. So is this all work that you have just either like given away, or like, where do these pieces live? Oh, you're muted again,
You're
George.
muted.
Oh, I'm sorry. I do
No
have
problem.
a large stockpile, and I do give some art to the children. Like I leave chalk with them when I'm at the park so they can do art.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I sell art. My art is everywhere. I would like it to be everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. I would like that too, actually. um, so George, what surprises you about your art?
What surprises me is, for a very long time, the opinions of others. I'm an artist, so when you show someone your art, you would like to be accepted, and many other areas in life. But I wanted to be accepted, And when I made it about myself, when I focused on myself and got into my art, and just took it off of people, people started to pour into me, and
Yeah.
and show me attention. And when I worked with the autistic population, and I saw it was therapeutic for them as it's been therapeutic for me. The clients would gravitate towards me, and which would give relief to my coworkers, but it's so peaceful. And I think I want the world to experience this peace. If we share this peace, what do you have to offer? This is what I have to offer.
Got you. Yeah. Yeah, there's that piece, man, about like, it's so beautiful to be able to share bits of yourself in this way. And yeah, I can imagine the reactions are pretty incredible, because it stopped me right in my tracks, right on the street, when I saw you doing, drawing in your car. It was really,
Thank
really
you.
amazing.
And I was doing that for myself, for my own pleasure. You walked by, stopped and saw it. And I was doing that with good intent. And you stopped with good intent. So that positivity builds. That's what I see with
It
my
does.
art. Positivity building.
It does. So good. Yeah, I'm really digging this Shock G piece.
Thank you.
Yeah, with Humpty and Shock G. Yeah. Um, mm, mm-mm. So so let me ask you this. If you could if you could go back, George, and talk to your 13-year-old self, what advice would you give to your 13-year-old self about your artwork?
Keep your head up and keep walking, young man, because all of this is necessary. Everything is necessary. Everything, all the failures, all the tears, everything is necessary.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good advice. I know a lot of adults that could use that advice too. Including myself.
Yes, you know,
yeah, just
one of like my art is my smiles and my tears. Like I did a piece a few months ago of one of my ex-girlfriends that I looked up on Google after not speaking to her for a while, and her obituary popped up. So I did a portrait of her and I wrote a letter to her around the portrait. And you know,
wow.
that's healing for me.
Yeah, that's therapeutic. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I can see that. Wow, that's really, really powerful. I love that. Can you say more? Because it sounds like part of the work that you do with autistic folks is around this artwork. Can you say more about that?
Well, when I started working with the autistic, I started in the day program, and you know, we have to communicate easily issues we do not speak of. And I saw that the clients, you know, they have issues that they try to communicate, but sometimes they can't voice. And if you're not able to voice it, and physically seem to put them at ease and calm.
Yeah. George, you're muted again. It was like you were breaking up a little bit. George, you're muted.
Hello.
There you go. So what we heard, George, was it sounds like you were saying that sometimes folks have a difficult time communicating, and that they can use the art to help them communicate.
Yes, I just tried to use the art to help them to communicate. Oh
no. Oh, okay. Sort of trying to catch up here. Okay.
I'm
there you
sorry.
Go, George. All right.
Yes.
No, it's okay. I think because
okay.
like when go ahead.
When I use the art with clients to communicate, but it's more to keep them calm. I'm a human being. I get hungry. I get cold. I feel cold. I feel warm. And you know, when I feel these things, it's nothing to check on those who are around me to see if they're experiencing the same. What is it to supply a snack? Share a snack if I'm hungry.
Yeah. Yeah, man, this is this is so great. So George, tell me about some of your work, because you had mentioned to me before, we ran into we had this date scheduled, and then we ran into each other again, and you said that since the last time we spoke, that you had a couple of people ask for your work, or like you sold some pieces. could you tell me about like some of the stuff that you're doing?
Well, like I said, energy builds. So I would go to the park times when I do my art, and I have a lot of supplies in my PT Cruiser. And you know, when I'm doing my art, people pass. Sometimes I would put a framed piece next to my car, and I did that the other day. And someone referred me over to New Haven Apparel, which I am currently at outside of the store at the moment. But they accepted my art to sell. And also I made a connection with a digital artist whose office is above Allied Foot Care. And you know, we're working together. I have an art, we're working on an art show that I'll be letting the public know about very soon. And things are just coming to me. It's the energy.
Yeah.
It's energy.
Yep. Yeah, I can see that, George. And you do, I have to say, you do radiate amazing energy. I really do. Even just talking to you, I'm so excited for you, and also for everyone else that will get to enjoy your work and your art, man, because it really is beautiful, and I can feel it even just like in the conversation that we're having.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, of course. So George, how can folks get in touch with you? So, you know, in the way of like energy building, right? Like you were saying, somebody might see this and might want to have your work in their place too. How do folks get in touch?
You can email me at georgeruffin1231@gmail.com, or you can text me at 203-645-4472. I do murals at the day program. I did paint. The clients were used to watching certain cartoons and cartoons. So I painted all the cartoon characters on the wall and different backgrounds, and got new movies for the clients to watch, you know, and upgrade.
That's cool, George. I love that. So George, I missed the email address. Can you say it one more time? Is George Ruffin what?
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay, George.
I was saying
what? Oh yeah, I heard you said you do murals, and then I heard the piece about the cartoons that you draw the cartoons, right?
Oh yes, I painted.
Yeah, the connection is tough.
Yeah, it was something going on with the connection today.
Yeah, the connection is George, the connection is a little tough. So so we may have missed something, but what I want to make sure that if somebody wants to get in touch with you, they know how. So could you tell me your email address again? Oh, you're muted, George. George, you there? Oh, there he goes. Okay. Here we go. Let's try it again. There we go. All right. So I can see you, George.
Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes. Okay. So give me that email address again, George.
George, George, Ruffin, Ruffin, 1231 at gmail.com.
Great. Perfect. At gmail.com. All right. Excellent. So I'm going to put that right in the chat. So if anybody wants to get in touch with you, that's the way to do it. And they can be in touch to get some work.
Thank you.
So George, I have just two more questions, George. The first one is, what can we look forward to in the future from you, George?
Well, one of my main goals was to address the shortage of programs like art programs and give to the children. I would like to start a program where nearby businesses help to sponsor art programs for children. There are many art programs in New Haven, which is beautiful, but I also do art in Bridgeport and certain other areas in Connecticut where, you know, I believe that I could give more, and I'm trying to give to the population and seeing where the art leads. That's what I'm trying to do. That's what I'm doing. Yeah. Pardon me.
That's what you're
doing.
There
this. You go. It's gonna happen.
That's
we can do it together.
That's right, George. That's great. Thank you. My last question, George, is what didn't I ask you that I should have asked you?
Everything happens for a reason. You asked me everything that you should have asked me, and anything that you haven't asked me. I would like all of the viewers to stay tuned because I'm an open book and I'm for the people.
I love it. I love it. George, this has been an absolutely fantastic conversation. I feel like I just had like a 3-hour session with a therapist just listening to you talk. So thank you so much for that. I am so excited about your work, George, and I really do hope that this interview can help to spread your work and spread your beautiful message of unity and oneness, man, because I think we need a lot more of that. And I really appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you very much. And I appreciate you as well.
Thank you so much. It was great.
Yeah. The pleasure was definitely mine, George. And yeah, you be well. I'm sure I'll see you soon on the block in front of the house.
Likewise. You have a good one.
You too, George. Take care.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Eric, for
have a good day.
Doing this too.
That was great.